understand.
Oh, okay.
Sewage disposal. We call to order the October 15th, 2013 regularly scheduled board meeting. Has the public been properly notified?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Dotson. And we have a confirmation of a quorum. Looks like 6 minus Mr. Miller tonight. We'll entertain a motion to enter executive session.
Madam Chairman, we will, go to executive session.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Ms. Hartman. All those in favor, signify by raising up the right hand. We will reconvene at 6:30 promptly. Thank you. How about that? Is that what y'all waiting on?
Yeah, they sure were not.
Down the hall to the teacher's lounge.
Cookies and cookies and fruit. Good chance to go, huh? See what they do.
You remember back in the day, they used to smoke.
Oh, really?
Hey, I don't know.
You told me.
Right there.
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, all right.
But you in charge too.
I thought that the vendor.
We try to say the district.
I got two in the last 2 weeks. Two new vendors. But they want us to fill out what looks like a credit. Two people. It's that's part of their
What I'm saying, what- yeah, a lot, we do that a lot.
Do something for
it's It's the carpentry. They want it looks like credit.
So I'm like,
And the sex of one contact, but he just like,
I know, I felt bad.
But I was asking,
now, if you would never saw that thing, so we just
Yeah, I think this is kind of
what you would do, have it going back
one is local.
What's it called? No, some might, you question number one, and it finished. They graded it. And then, reading the passages online too is yeah. I saw an issue one this morning. Y'all gonna get paid. It's on now.
It is?
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good. We did not take the rest. He said no?
No, he didn't say no, he just said his remembrance. That's how we would say it.
Sure about what?
All right. We'd already made reservations. And did all the paperwork. So
The other day.
they didn't get it. They always enjoy themselves. Plus they added some new things. So the kids that went like Arizona last year, they were able to see something different.
Now, this was for
Then they wasn't year before we passed. But yeah, they enjoyed themselves. Tired me out by the time I got there.
yeah, because you.
They put a lot of new things down there. Work there. Since I've been,
Right.
we've gone there.
First time the water.
And then the next time. So it's the same. Okay, they keep it. They add some attractions inside. Since we've been here.
Oh, did?
They've added a lot of nice things in there. They didn't have before. And I always like to go, a lot of people like, oh,
It's written my tongue
I like going to practice.
I know why I heard you.
Okay.
Luckily, for the past 2 years, we've gone.
I go ahead and, I won't pull it out all during the time.
But you know, they do it. Wow. They do a lot of it. Well, you don't do much now.
Somebody in your face, somebody laughing, or somebody saying something in your face.
That just goes to show you. We're trying to get a different deal. We're not gonna stay at this. I wasn't pleased with it.
Make sure it's, hey,
Yeah.
make sure it's conference rate off below.
What you mean conference rate? Everything's below that, but it's cheap, they need business. It's cold out there.
Conference rate $85. You go get $95.
You ain't gonna keep on that. What do you do? Don't start? I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Hey,
You know what I'm doing, right?
I'm going somewhere, the Ritz-Carlton. I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton.
I got to show you something tomorrow. Boy, I said, what?
Have you finished that?
I guess it's not from anybody in this room.
It's just the name of the place they stay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, but we're at a place, we're gonna save, because we're at a place that circulates. So that'll save us money with not having, I mean, they're gonna run all of the regular paying bills out of everybody's stuff they eat, but it's gonna be cheaper for us. Plus, we just looking at, you know, by the time we go, they have to maintain that average, you know, to remain in. Once in medical, if you're not in medical, you don't maintain that average, it'll let them, well, they'll get their first letter after this first 9 weeks. They drop below our average. And it's 85 to get in, 88 to stay. And so, if they drop, everybody gets that, once they accept and pay their dues, so they know what it is. But the first time we give a probation.
Oh, a couple.
The second
Yeah,
time,
about
they
six.
don't care.
We used to walk down to 7th
And they don't get back in
Stadium.
when they get to sixth grade. If they're fifth grade, we got fifth and sixth grade. And once they get in sixth grade, you got kicked out of fifth grade, you still need to.
Well, they stay in class, yeah, in the morning, yeah.
See, I don't know.
And then
I
we
think
have
I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm wrong.
Yeah, we meet, they meet,
Where we stayed, it was quiet.
because it conflicts with those same students that work in the course, the same students that on day, and it's conflict with those all the time. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. That meet with the students every week. We meet, they're meeting every week now at the convention. And after convention, they're meeting every week. Yeah. And see, if you're a fifth grade teacher or a sixth grade teacher, you are a sponsor. It's not optional. You are a sponsor because those are your children that are in. So, they are sponsors. See, and I'm doing mine after school different this time. And I'm gonna save, keep a little money to have a tutor come in with it. Each class, and what I've done is, science is my area that we didn't get any points on the federal report card, so I have, math science, and we're gonna switch off the math science and then Chromebooks, and then we use Chromebooks. These are not necessarily the children that had not yet. And the Chromebook is one of my classroom teachers who will be, working on the areas that the teacher, classroom teacher said the children need help in. So they'll be doing like computerized skills, then they'll flip flop. We'll have a group with the Chromebook and a group with math science, and then we'll flip flop like that. Cause I can give the money's worth out of math science. I mean, I don't know, we probably use our math system that we got, math program that we got, and, probably a little bit of study out of it, but most of it would be skills that we teach classroom kids and times, let's miss it out. Right. Yeah, it could be like not meant to. I'm fine.
Bring you up to speed. He should have, is it, it's not like he's saying, it's a long ride. Yes, ma'am. 15 minutes. But, because I was kind of used to going, I was getting there right on time. Right, okay, yeah, yeah. But you know, where do you want me to move? Like, for the most part, I get it. It's anyway, sixth grade. Oh, okay. So that where we have. Okay.
I know, I think I had something like a week or so ago, still trying to get over it.
Did you know, Alan? Did the rest of it? Let that Marine Corps come out in.
Okay, okay.
That wasn't a pretty thing.
No, it wasn't. But that's him.
No pun intended.
Yeah, that's
He is,
He got fired.
that's what I heard. That's
Yeah. But that's Alan there. Glad for 82. Yep, he was at the fire department. And then he walked over to the police department. Yeah.
Fifth grade, no, sixth grade, all the sixth grade. So we just took all the programs together
No, it's a
and
state
gave it to
contract.
them. So we did sixth grade. We started out with third grade. And one of them is both. You know, Miss Mack is third.
Yeah, she did. That seemed like she did tell me that.
It's like I skipped Luke. I
Okay.
started her up,
And then she skipped, and then she skipped
you know
again.
what happened? She taught us.
Okay.
I moved her. To be kids. Why? I need to be a little stronger.
Exactly. You got something else. I should change something. You need to get, you don't have no She told me, and I go through that thing.
Okay. Well, eventually, we will get her, he's gonna come out on this year. And we will go through it. So, she, yeah, she, this is my last year, so I was back. And let me, first man,
I saw your email, I was like,
first man.
Every year, it's almost like they together for these organizations. Same thing. We had our, they tried it. Bad. Well, yeah, that what happened. We found it at the very beginning. Yeah. We were able to, find it, you know, make sure everybody's getting on it. Just trying to expand at the same time.
Third grade.
Okay, that's right.
I thought we were six. I didn't.
It's on there, too.
Based on what the students said, it's we were all in 12th grade.
I got more salt and pepper. And that's one thing I'm supposed to stay away from. Yeah.
See, your Indians are doing well. I'm sorry. Not even. I was trying to see if any of our local guys.
I was going back from last year.
Bell.
He's redshirted.
Yeah, so I looked at the roster and
Well, Greg Falls, he had an interception.
because they have
They have about four.
right. I didn't realize that one game I didn't recognize that he didn't sign him. But then I saw what he was. I think he was a junior college transfer. Like he came in from Charleston Southern. I saw that was that.
And they want
Between y'all's conversation.
Fairfield ties and how their games were. And all that. We haven't had the resources to really pursue that yet. It's looking I wanted to.
The quarterback from Bluffton, CJ Frazier. But I'm thinking he's Richard because he's getting up the list by jersey number. So,
I didn't realize that he was.
well, like I said, we were influenced from his whole high school career, so we kind of saw him progress. And then when he signed with
Is he a dual threat kind of quarterback?
he's not as mobile. He's got a strong arm. But he's not tall. He's probably 5'10", 5'11".
So that's how come he got to be that way.
Yeah, but that kid can go. He can move a little bit. Definitely. I mean, he's much faster in the senior year because he dropped some weight. So he was more mobile in the senior year than he was in his first 2 years, or his junior, sophomore year when he started. But this is a team that he saw two lower state championship games and one state championship game. So in those 3 years, I think it was like the coaches were 35, 34, 35. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, I talked with one of the running back coach who was in Walmart the other day. He spoke pretty highly of Damien.
Yeah.
He just said they did redshirt him. He got some kid who's a freshman. His last name is Doctor. He's number 22, and man, that kid, he's the real deal at running back. I think.
from
I can't think of his first name right
he's from somewhere over there. I remember seeing the name. Yellow.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's tough.
I'm trying to remember where he's from, but Daniel put on a lot of muscle. You know, we saw him in the Jamboree, the preseason high school Jamboree.
Yeah, he got him in that weight room.
Yeah, it's probably about 20,000 muscles from the end of school till we saw him in August.
It's something.
He's taking advantage of his time.
Yeah,
That's what he's getting at work there.
No, he put it on the map. When they come back the next time, they gonna check and see. I'm hoping that they wait.
What's up, Kevin? Well, last time I saw Lucas, he was wearing a tie too. Congratulations. It's good, my man. I hit your pin, and everything. Well, it's good. They're one of them there.
And I just
That's right. It's a big responsibility. My new family. You going to the game Friday, or you're not going to Wardlaw? Eh?
But I told his dad to put it on.
Yeah. Might be a little better game than it was last week, but not by much.
I'm taking pictures of Jamie.
They got like September.
all the pictures that Deanna sent me were ninth graders. You know. Oh, yeah. They don't get a lot of opportunity. Yeah. Oh, yeah, thanks, man. We've got a couple of good photographers. It's a hard thing to get right, you know. We got lucky. I mean, that woman that shoots our Blackwood photos, she'd never done it before. She said she just thought she wanted to try. And her stuff was like amazing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it is just timing, you know what I mean? You have to be at the right spot. Yeah, that woman from Blackwood is just like every week she sends me 6 or 7 photos that I wish I could use. There's only like 1 or 2. And it's all, I mean, she's just, her timing is great. She always gets the ball, right? And there's always arms and legs going up in the air, and she gets the eyes. She'd never done it before. Yeah.
Babies are not used to that.
I have no idea how she did it. Better than any photos I ever took. That's for sure.
He's got that. He's ready.
Ready. Hello there, Madam Chair.
Hello. How are y'all?
That's right.
Hey, hi, it's okay. How's it going? Good to see you.
Mr. Miller, how are you, man?
What's going on down there? How y'all doing?
All right. Walk of shame. That's cool. There's my favorite. Obviously I didn't. You saw me. Why didn't you speak to me? Get away from me. That's not why. Making that up.
Entertain a motion to exit executive session.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham, and then Mr. Prick. All those in favor of exiting the executive session that was for legal and personnel matters, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. There was no action taken during the executive session. I'd like to welcome those in attendance tonight. This is the October 15th, 2013 regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Trustees, Fairfield County School District. The Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence will be led by our Secretary, Mr. Miller, who we welcome. And Ms. Dotson, please make a note he joined during the executive session.
Roll call, stand. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just ask, stand, moment of silent prayer. We do thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Unless there is some dissent, we will move forward with the approval of the agenda. Thank you. Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. No public comment. All right, we will continue down to presentations and recognitions.
Madam Chair, members of the board, you know, I love presentations. I love to give awards. That's one of my favorite things to do. And we have the pleasure of recognizing our Rock Around the Clock essay winners. I guess that was about a week or so ago. But we had students who had to submit, had the opportunity to submit essays around the topic of our town. And we encourage students to write about their perspective of living in Fairfield County. And I guess some of them may have written about their particular town, whether it be Ridgeway or Jenkinsville or the various towns around the county. But we had several individuals who placed in the competition. We had a couple of people who ended up placing first, and 3 others who ended up placing second and third. But we're very excited about the opportunity to recognize those individuals today. So without further ado, I'm going to ask the principals, if you're here, to join those students when I call them forward, so you can be recognized with them, because quite frankly, the principals had to encourage these students to submit those essays. It wasn't something that was mandatory, even though I would have made it mandatory, but it wasn't mandatory, so they had to submit, they had to encourage those students to submit essays, and we're very excited about how they represented the district in fine fashion. First, let's start with our elementary winners, and let me say that we won first, second, and third place in the elementary division. So it was a clean sweep in the elementary division. Let's start with our third place winner in the elementary division, Miss Carolina Villegas Salas from Fairfield Elementary School. She's a third grader. Come on up. I had opportunity to meet Caroline about a week or so ago, and I told Caroline I wanted to take a picture of her for my Twitter page. You remember that, Caroline? And she looked at me like I was crazy. She did let me take a picture nonetheless. So we can take another picture, Caroline. Here you go. Just right here for, and it says Caroline Villegas Salas for outstanding essay presented at the 2013 Fairfield County Rock Around the Clock Festival, Creating Writing Essay Contest, awarded October 15, 2013 by the Fairfield County School District. And I think they are planning to put their essays in the paper, so we can really get out to it. Yeah, put it in the paper. All right. Good job. Pardon? Oh yeah, parents right here. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Next, we have Miss Keely Claytor, and Fairfield Elementary School also. All right, and Fairfield Elementary School once again. She made sure I understood that. Yeah. Keely, didn't I take a picture with you also for my Twitter page? All right, I'm a Twitter celebrity. Okay, and once again, Keely is a third grader also?
She's the second grader.
Second grader. Oh wow, I mean the second grader who ended up winning. Okay. So here you go, kid. Go ahead and smile for the camera. Did you get Gilly? Yeah, you didn't get smiled. All right. Let's give him a round of applause. Miss McDaniel just scolded me because I didn't recognize Keita's parents. Where's Keita's parents at right here? Y'all please stand if you recognize right here. Yeah. I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm not gonna be. And finally, from Kelly Miller, Ariana Boyles. Ariana, will your parents please stand? And she's not here. But Ariana, who is from Kelly Mill Elementary School, she won first place. So we will make sure that she receives this award. All right. And next, the first place winner from the middle school division, Mr. and Mrs. Swan, will y'all please stand in the back right here? Y'all been here a few times. Let's give them a round of applause, okay? Okay. And Trace won. Now, let me tell you this. Now, this is a true story. Yeah. This is a true story. I was at the middle school one day, and Trace had just finished his essay, I guess, and he was handing it to his mother. And he said, "This is my Rock Around the Clock essay." And I said, "Is this a first place essay, Trace?" He said, "Yeah, I think so." So he was right. Now, he told me last year he was going to make 100 on the intercourse assessment of Algebra 1. And he did that also. So don't doubt Trace's word. Now, he said he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Dr. Harder, you anything you want to say here?
You said it all, boss.
I said it all. Okay. All right. Then. All right. Let's give Trace a round of applause. Mr. and Mrs. Brooks here, Jordan Brooks. Okay, Jordan, I know I saw your mom. I'm getting ready to say, I know I saw Miss Brooks here. Pardon me. Pardon me. And here we have Miss Jordan Brooks, who is one of our AP English students, a junior. Who was doing some outstanding work, but she came in third place in the Rock Around the Clock essay contest. I'm looking forward to reading Jordan's essay. She told me it was outstanding. She was bragging. That's what she said. So we're very excited to make this presentation to Jordan Brooks. Let's give her a round of applause. Okay. Now, we had several students who were recognized for outstanding artwork. Their submissions were submitted to the state fair. I had the opportunity to go down and actually view all of the artwork that was recognized. We had several students from the Magnet School who will be recognized at a later date, whose work was judged as being either first, second, or placing, or either being honorable mention selections. But we're going to recognize the two middle school students today. And the first one is Mr. Keyshawn Robertson. And Keyshawn, come on forward, Keyshawn. Is it Robertson? Robertson. Okay, Mr. Robertson, we can give you a stand to be recognized. Thank you. But Keyshawn had an interesting piece of artwork. Tell us about the artwork, Keyshawn. Tell them what you made.
It was a backpack made out of recyclable art using Capri Sun and Gatorade top.
Yeah, it was very impressive. Yeah.
And a used belt.
And a used belt. And so it was like a backpack, right? That he made out of Capri Sun and Gatorade top. So it's very, very impressive. So Keyshawn's presentation reads, this certificate is presented to Keyshawn Robinson, outstanding artwork, juried in the 2013 South Carolina State Fair Art Competition, awarded October 2015 by the Fairfield County School District. Let's give Keyshawn a round of applause. And this young lady right here, I'm not quite sure what she drew. I did take a picture of her. You can tell us about it when you come. Janelle Green. Ms. Green, would you like to stand up and be recognized? Okay. Yeah. Janelle, why don't you tell us what you drew?
I drew a drawing of a castle, 3D castle.
Okay, 3D capsule. Okay. And she didn't embarrass me too bad. I mean, she did okay. All right. So let's give her a round of applause.
Give my girls a home.
Now we have the opportunity to recognize our Teacher of the Year. And look here, I mean, anytime you're Teacher of the Year for a particular school, that is something to definitely be proud of, because that says that your colleagues feel as if you are the best of the best, much less being Teacher of the Year for the entire district. First, we're going to recognize all our school level winners. First of all, from Fairfield Elementary School, we have Miss Ashley Coleman Davis. Come forward, Ms. Davis. Davis, I think, is a third grade teacher. Third grade teacher. I've had the pleasure of visiting Ms. Davis's class on a few occasions, and I can tell you, very engaging and very, very effective instruction. So, congratulations, Ms. Davis. Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Miss Sarah Neely from Fairfield Magnet School, and I think Miss Neely is a kindergarten teacher?
Pre-K.
Pre-K, I was close. Yeah, pre-K right there. Congratulations. Mr. Kenneth Lawson from Giga. Fifth grade teacher. Fourth. I mean, oh man. How you doing? I was close, man.
Very close.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. And this is our overall Teacher of the Year for the district. And as I said earlier, that is definitely something to be proud of. And it is Miss Cynthia George, who is a 7th grade, 8th grade? 8th grade. I'm only one off this one. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Where's the pamper?
Okay, Mr. Ernest Manning, who was the Teacher of the Year from the Career and Technology Center, is not here today. Mr. Jenkins, did you want to accept that award on his behalf? We're not going to clap for you, but you can come on up. Appreciate it, appreciate it. And Miss Pamela Roletta, who is from McCoy Liston, and she's not here either.
That's not me, but I'll take it for
But you should take it nonetheless. Sister Pamela here to take it for her. Thank you, we appreciate it. Okay. And Ms. Jane Wilson, who is a biology teacher from the high school, and she wasn't able to make it either, but Ms. Swilly is going to accept that on her behalf. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay.
Natasha Powers.
Natasha Powers. Kelly Miller. It has to be Kelly Miller. Okay, she's not here either. Okay, is there anyone from Kelly Miller to accept that on her behalf? Well, I'll accept it on her behalf. Y'all clap for me then. Now, next we have the McCoy Liston Alumni Association. I got a call from Mr. Willie Coleman, I guess probably a couple of weeks ago, and said that the McCoy Liston Alumni Association wanted to donate some funds to the school district. And I didn't argue with him about that. I said, if you have some money that you'd like to give to us, then we would surely be willing to receive it. And I'll be honest, I asked him initially, I said, well, what would you like for us to do with it? And he said, well, just use it for some instructional purposes that you see fit. So we have some representatives, I'm quite sure some graduates of McCoy Listening High School who are going to make this presentation for them. They got a big check.
Good evening. I'm Melvin Copeland. I am not the chairman of the McCoy Listening Union Committee. The chairman's off on a medical emergency. His daughter's in the hospital. His granddaughter's in the hospital. But but I came to. My name is, like I said, my name is Melvin Copeland, and we came to make this donation to McCoy Listening, our elementary school. This is where we graduated from years ago. I graduated from there 50 years ago. And we had a school reunion last year, and we were able to raise this amount of funds, and we wanted to give it to the McCoy Listening Elementary School. Is Miss Bell here?
I'm her representative.
Okay. Okay. How are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm Melvin. Would like to donate this to you, and I would request that you use it any way that you think the students are in need. Thank you very much. We're not going to direct that. Leave it to your discretion.
Okay. And on behalf of Dr. Bell and myself and the whole McCoy Listening School of Technology family, we greatly appreciate it, and we will use it very efficiently, I promise you that.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey, take that one to the bank.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the board minutes from the meeting on September 17th, 2013. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Second?
Second.
Mr. Fritz. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, the superintendent recommends that the board approve the minutes. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by the raising of the right hand. 7-0, Ms. Dodson. And the superintendent's report continues.
All right. Chairman Reed and members of the board, first of all, as I continue to say every meeting, I am impressed with the outstanding work that Ms. Wallace and all those who support her have been able to put together in terms of this monthly newsletter. And when I'm out and about in the community, people often talk about the wonderful things that they see in the newsletter and how well it's put together. Also, we'd like to give the Fairfield Career and Technology Center a shout out for their assistance in terms of having the newsletter formatted and printed properly, because all of that work is done at the Career Center. So we'd like to give them a shout out for doing an outstanding job. Next on the list, we're very excited about the opportunity to start this new initiative, the Fairfield County School District Hall of Fame. I'd just like to remind the board members and members of the audience to encourage individuals to submit names of people that we feel are worthy of such a recognition. Our plan is to induct 5 members this year. We have received names of individuals that will make up the committee. So we're very excited to see whom all will be nominated for this prestigious award. And we've already received some nominations. I suspect that by the time we get to December, we would have received quite a few. So it will be a very difficult task to see who is worthy of such recognition. But continue to to spread that word. Also, this coming Saturday, you probably have heard or seen on the website that we are launching a brand new initiative for middle school age boys. And it is a group mentoring program that was initially brought to me by Mr. Tony Armstrong, whom I'm quite sure we all know well. And Mr. Armstrong came to me and said that he had an idea that we should start a bow tie club for young boys. And I said, well, did you select bow tie club in honor of me? And since I wear bow ties, and he said, absolutely not. I had nothing to do with why he selected bow tie. But I want to go on the record with the media present. I've never seen Brother Armstrong in a bow tie. So it was obviously me that inspired him to come up with Bow Tie Club. But you know, we have been very surprised with the interest in this Bow Tie Club. We've only had signed up for about 3 days, and we already have over 120 students who have signed up to be a part of it. So we have a lot of young 7th and 8th grade boys, and let me reiterate this. This is only 7th and 8th grade boys in the county, and we are already at over 120 students who have expressed interest in being a part. And when I come over to the middle school, they stop me every 5 seconds saying, I've already signed up for the bow tie club. When am I going to get my bow tie? And so we're going to give them a real bow tie, not a pre-tie. I mean, so you have to learn to tie a bow tie. And I just got the shipment in today of bow ties that I ordered. I can't remember the name of the company, but we've ordered black and gold free tie bow ties for all of the young men in the club. And that first orientation will include multiple things, but it will also include a quick lesson on how to tie a bow tie, and I'll be manning that session. Okay, so for all my men there who are interested in working in this group mentoring program, Mr. Frick, Mr. Miller, Mr. Denton, Kevin, we're inviting you all. We'll be meeting at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, and we have some very exciting things to look forward to. The club will be structured around the 5 wills of Benjamin E. Mays, and those 5 wills suggest that all young men should be well-read, well-spoken, well-dressed, well-traveled, and well-balanced. So everything that we do will be structured around one of those 5 wills. Okay, so very excited about that. Next on the list, the senior class set up a meeting with me a couple of weeks ago. They had some concerns about the graduation date. I mean, our graduation date was scheduled for Monday, June 2nd. And they said, Mr. Green, nobody wants to graduate on a Monday. Why can't we graduate on a Saturday? And I said, well, you know, let's sit down and meet and let's talk about it. And you know, so, you know, they had some very good points. They said, well, people are going to be coming from out of town, and what if your grandma lives in New York, and what if somebody has to work? And so they laid out several different reasons. So and you're probably saying, I mean, these seniors have been, I've been getting kind of soft on these seniors. They've been kind of pushing me in a corner on several different things. But they were able to convince me that we should move it. So we have already agreed to move graduation date from Monday the 2nd to Saturday the 31st, based on a strong encouraging from our senior representatives. At 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 in the morning. Yeah, 8:30 in the morning. And we had some conversations about that. It's going to be at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday the 31st, and we can get out of there before the sun gets too hot. Okay. The next thing I want to update the board on is we had some conversations last meeting about the Affordable Care Act and how that's going to impact the Fairfield County school system. Just to kind of refresh your memory, all organizations that employ 50 or more employees and employ them for more than 30 hours a week are going to be required to offer comprehensive health coverage. And that is a change. Now, for the most part, that doesn't have an effect on us as a district because we already offer those employees comprehensive health coverage. Where it does pose a problem is for our substitutes, those individuals who come in and substitute teach. So even if you are a substitute teacher, if you end up working an average of greater than 30 hours a week, we still are required to offer you comprehensive health benefits. As you can imagine, with having substitutes that travel to multiple different schools, trying to keep track of who has worked over 30 hours is a very, very difficult task. So we have made a decision to contract out the substitute aspect of our personnel to Kelly Temporary Services, so they can monitor and track that activity. Now we'll continue to use the same individuals, however, they will be employed through Kelly Temporary Services. Kelly Temporary Services still will be required to offer them health benefits if they are working greater than 30 hours a week, but they are in a much better position to monitor and track that. The penalties are very, very severe if you employ individuals who work greater than 30 hours a week and you don't offer them health insurance, even if you do it accidentally. Because we could face penalties as great as $1.1 million in Fairfield County if we employ individuals for greater than 30 hours and do not offer them health benefits. So we do not want to put ourselves in that potential peril. Kelly has already indicated that they will offer those individuals weekly paid direct deposit. They are going to offer bonuses, a 401 retirement plan, of course a group medical plan, and many other fringe benefits. So I mean, I think it's probably going to be a win-win across the board. But very shortly we are going to transition our substitutes over to Kelly Temporary Services, and primarily because of the requirements of the Affordable Care.
I'm sorry, I have one question on that.
Yes.
Now, the session that I went to, if Kelly didn't offer the insurance, then it would still fall back on the district. Is that not true, or did that change, or?
Well, the guidance I've been getting, Ms. McDaniel, and as you can imagine, there are a lot of questions, a lot of people still kind of unsure about it. The guidance I have received is, as long as they are Kelly employees, that we wouldn't be responsible for offering health insurance. Now, the question becomes this, is for example, if Kelly were employing them and they were not offering the health insurance, I'm saying Kelly would be subject to a fine.
Okay, and I love what you say, but
Yeah.
you know, what the law says is more important, so you sure that's what the case is, though?
I'm sure it's what they've told me. That's probably, but I've got guidance from several different people. I've spoken to some other superintendents. And
I asked you that question now, so you get your guidance from the right place.
I hope so, Ms. McDaniel. I hope so. But I'll say this, you know, it's been kind of a moving target.
Well, we already moved ours out.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of conversations, and that's why I hope that guidance is correct. Yes, sir, Ms. McDaniel.
The local people that have substantial amount of years in for retirement, the state, even though they're part-time, how's that gonna affect these folks?
Now, ask that question again now?
I've been here 20 years, as a substitute. In these 20 years, I've been paying into retirement. And they go together, you know, continue to build retirement through the state system, correct or incorrect?
I don't think they will build retirement, but now, do we have substitutes who are paying into retirement?
We do have some.
Okay, for those substitutes who are paying into retirement, have we discussed any kind of contingency with them?
The retirement will remain the same with the state. The retirement offered by Kelly, if they qualify, then we'll pick up. But they don't have to withdraw their money or anything through the SCRS. They can just sit there, and then when they become age eligible, they're eligible to access their retirement through the state system. Or it may be portable. We'll just
I guess state retirement offers some benefits that the private contractors don't. So if you've got X number of years, let's just say you're 5 years from retirement and you're switching over to this system, how would that affect you as far as Kelly's system versus our system? And I would think they would remain probably permanently where they are under the state system, and then Kelly may have a different system. But if when you get time, just look up.
Yeah, well, what I'll do, Ms. Coney, that's an excellent point, and I guess your question is, could they continue to pay into the state system even though they transition over to Kelly, particularly there at the end of their career? Would definitely.
And I'm sure usually they cannot.
They can.
Do we know, do we have any idea how many we may have that may fall in that, and maybe they could be grandfathered in if they're gonna be working 30+ hours a week?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize we had any substitutes who were paying into retirement until Ms. Cunningham said that. So I would be curious.
That's okay, you can take me to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say it wrong.
That's okay.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'll look at that, see how that is. Okay. And finally, the last thing, currently the April board meeting is on the 15th, because contracts need to be offered by the 15th. And spring break, of course, is on the 14th through the 18th. I am recommending to the board that we move the April board meeting to the 8th, so we can meet, approve contracts, and have them issued by the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Ms. Hartman seconded. Those in favor of moving the April 2014 board meeting to April the 8th, signify by raising of the right hand. Thank you, 7-0.
Madam Chair, since he's on board meetings, when December board meeting?
Seventeenth.
17th.
We'll move on to curriculum and instruction.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Green. Item 1 are additional 2013-14 school fundraisers for Fairfield Central High School, consisting of the Fairfield Central High School pageant, step show, Griffin's Got Talent, Prom King and Queen, and some other additional school fundraisers that have been outlined. Fairfield Middle School has included requests for fundraising for events such as the school dance concessions, talent show, and to sell water bottles to help benefit the cheerleading team to help purchase equipment. The superintendent recommends the board approve the school fundraisers for the 2013-14 school year for Fairfield Middle School, Fairfield Central High School. In addition to that, the band has also included a fundraiser to sell fruit as well, and that's also included as a part of Fairfield Central High School's request.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
Second.
Second, Mr. Craig. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, the superintendent recommends the board approve the school fundraisers for the 2013-14 school year. All those in favor of that request, please signify by raising your right hand. 7-0, Ms. Dawson.
The next item on the agenda are out-of-state or overnight field trips. Fairfield Elementary School, the Beta Club Convention, that trip would take place on January 16th through 17th in Myrtle Beach. Giger has requested a ratification of a trip that took place on October the 11th. And Fairfield Central High School will be going to North Carolina, to the North Carolina Dance Theater and the Vetcher Museum of Modern Art. And the band students will be participating in a regional band clinic in Fort Mill in February, on February 22nd and February 23rd.
All right, the superintendent recommends that the trips be one ratified and the others approved.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Ms. Hartman, thank you for the second. Any discussion or questions?
Just one question, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I know earlier that we had already approved, I think, some new down to Myrtle Beach for as a junior beta club. So this is some additional.
This is
that's going
Fairfield.
on?
This is just for Fairfield Elementary.
Right. So we already did McCoy list, didn't care. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Good question. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
What was the reason that the other trip was taken and not be ratified?
Well, they didn't get the paperwork in initially on time, and I guess they got to get the paperwork in on this. Was that it, Dr. Ellis?
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, they just got to get some.
All right, any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the approval of the superintendent's recommendation signify by the raising of the right hand. 7-0, Ms. Dotson.
I'm going to present to all of you an overview of the inner course and SAT, ACT results for the 2013 or 2012-13 school year. And as many of you are aware, we take inner course tests in algebra, English 1, biology, U.S. history. And from 2012 to 2013, we demonstrated increase in all of the inner course tests that were taken for the 2012-2013 school year. In Algebra 1, we demonstrated an increase of 38 points or 28 points. We demonstrated an increase from 50% to 52% in 2013. In biology, we went from 60% in 2012 to 65%, and in U.S. history, we went from 12% to 16%. And overall, in all subjects, we exhibited 43% passing in 2012 to 53 overall passing in all of the subjects. We are very, very proud of the achievements that we have demonstrated on our inner course test from last school year. Now, this is basically a visual to demonstrate to you, again, the percentage that passed both for Biology 1, English 1, and for Algebra 1. And we recognize that we had significant gains in some subjects, and we are growing in the U.S. history as demonstrated by our results. Now, this particular visual is the inner course specifically for Biology 1. And this represents a breakdown by grades from A, B, C, D, and F. And if you notice on the Fs, back in 2011, we had about 62%. Then we had Fs. But if you notice for 2013 on last year, that was basically cut in half, and now we went down to 35%. We had an increase in the number of A's. We went from 2011, 2012, 2013 to 22% of our students earning an A. And in number of letter grades for B, we had 24%. C in 2013, 15%. And D, we went down from 26% in 2012 earning a D to only 4%. So Biology 1 demonstrated a really true significant increase as it relates to student achievement. Algebra 1 inner course, as well, we saw tremendous growth in the number of students who earned A's and B's and C's. And again, the number of students who earned F decreased significantly. So again, we are very proud of the growth that was demonstrated in Algebra 1. Now, this is a breakdown of the letter grades just by number, so you can see a comparison between 2012 and 2013. But one thing that I do want to caution you is that we had less students to take this test, the Algebra 1 test, in 2012 as compared to 2013. So we're comparing basically apples to oranges because, of course, those are two different sets of children. But in 2012, the number of students that earned an A was 9. In 2013, we had an increase of 12 or 3 students who earn a letter grade of A. And we increased the number of students who earn Bs. We increased the number of students who earn Cs. And unfortunately, we increased the number of students who earn Ds, but we also decreased the number of students who earned Fs in Algebra 1. Biology as well, we had an increase, even though we had a greater number of students to earn A's by 1 if you look at the actual numbers. But again, we had less students who took the Biology 1 inner course test. So therefore, the grade level earned, or the letter grade earned for letter A, we had a change of 16 from 15. And for grades earned for a B, we went from 21 and decreased to 18. And grades earned in letter C from 32 to 11 in 2013. And again, D's, we went from 52 down to 3. And then we cut the number of F's from 79 to 26. But just be cautioned that the total number of students who took Biology 1 was drastically different from the total number of students who took it in 2013. Now, these are the results for Fairfield Middle School for Algebra 1, English 1, and all subjects. And as they have done in the past, they have demonstrated they went from 98%, 100% in 2013. They increased up to 100% for English 1. And in all subjects, of course, we had a 100% passage rate. So we're very proud of the achievements for Fairfield Middle School. And again, this is a visual of the information that was just shared with you to show you the comparisons between Algebra 1, those students the percentage who passed Algebra 1 and English 1. Now, SAT. Now, if you can see this graphic represents a national comparison of the number of the composite scores from ranked from 1 to 10, which starts with Illinois down to Nebraska. And then I also took the bottom quartile, starting from the bottom, to Delaware and to Florida. And if you notice the participation rate, those states that had a low participation rate, if you go across to the right-hand column, you notice that they had a very, very high combined score. Now, if you notice, if you look at South Carolina, for example, South Carolina had a 73% participation rate. And if you read across, compared to the top state, for example, Illinois had a combined score of 1798, and South Carolina had a 1431 combined, when you combine critical reading, math, and writing. And basically, from what we can tell here, is that the participation rate, those states who had fewer students to participate, ended up having higher composite scores, whereas states like South Carolina, Texas, who basically in many ways, they tested a larger percentage of their students, ended up with lower composite scores. And it's amazing to me looking at this, you have many of the states that are out west. Out west tends to be more selective in who they designate to take the SAT, whereas states on the eastern board tend to test more students and require more students to actually participate in the SAT itself. So those are just some trends that I thought it was important just to highlight for you as we move forward in looking at our SAT scores, not only as a district, but also in comparison to us throughout the United States. Now, our SAT scores, for critical reading, math, and writing, we demonstrated a decline from 2012 to 2013. Our composite decreased as well. But if you notice, our number of test takers that took the actual SAT test increased by 8 students. And then our percentage of students who actually took the actual test increased by 41%. And later on in this presentation, what we've decided to do, and what you'll get a brief demonstration on, is that we'll be using something called TCA prep to basically prep our students in advance of taking the SAT, PSAT, or ACT in hopes of improving their SAT score so that kids can really truly feel prepared going into any of these standardized tests. Now, the state SAT as well, As I mentioned earlier, nationally, South Carolina is near the bottom nationally as it compares to the SAT, but just remember that South Carolina also typically has a higher participation rate of students that at the high school level who actually take the actual test. So again, these are the state scores, and again, the state scores were a little below the national composite scores as well. Our ACTs as well demonstrated a decrease with the exception of reading. Reading remained the same, and the composite score also declined as well. The number of test takers we had in 2012 was 110, and in 2013, that number was 76. But again, we're going to do, or we will do, a better job of preparing our students so whatever test they decide to take, whether it's ACT or SAT, those scores can be really reflective of those students who really plan on going to a four-year institution. Because some students may elect to, to maybe perhaps go into military, may elect to go to a two-year university, but we wouldn't want to make sure this year that we really take the time to determine exactly which path our students may elect to go. ACT scores, again, at the state level, again, we had an increase in English, the math remained the same, the reading had a slight increase, the science had a slight increase, and overall the composite score with the ACT scores as well increased. Now overall, our celebrations, as I mentioned earlier, 78% of our students taking the inter-course test, they actually passed, and we were very excited to see that in all of the ESC courses, we had an increase in the number of students who passed. 100% of the Fairfield Middle School students passed the inter-course English 1 and Algebra 1 test, and the percentage of students achieving an A or a B on the Biology 1 inter-course test in 2013 increased between 12 and 14%. And as I mentioned earlier, we had increases in all 4 content areas as it relates to the inter-course testing. Are there any questions as it relates to our SAT and ELC data?
I'm sure I have a few questions. On the middle school intercourse, do we know how many students?
Students tested. It was about 45, somewhere in that range.
And all 45 of them?
Seems right.
My other question is,
Yes, ma'am.
on the number of students that I think it was the SAT, ACT decrease.
We have a decrease in the number of students that took ACT and an increase in SAT.
Do we know what caused the difference? Are we steering them, or they just decide not to take it, or they don't prepare, or?
Well, probably what I say, Ms. McDaniel, students are becoming more and more aware, at least they should be, of what test is probably more suitable for them. And there are some stark differences between the SAT and ACT. And so that number probably will kind of adjust from year to year depending on the class. I think sometimes you have a group of students who feel as if they are more geared towards the SAT because they just want to focus on the writing, the verbal, and the math. And then you have some students who say, I would prefer taking a test that relates more to what I have done throughout my educational career. And because there's a math section, a science section, a social studies section, a writing, and an English section. So that just varies from year to year. So in terms of why we had an increase in SAT last year and a decrease in ACT last year, I don't know if we can necessarily subscribe to that in particular reason, because it might reverse this year. I mean, we may look this year and see more students who elect to take SAT than ACT. Pardon me, most students elect to take ACT than SAT. From a guidance perspective, we will evaluate a student's transcript and we'll make recommendations. I'm not quite sure how intense that was in years past. I mean, I think to a large extent, we just allow students to pursue whichever one they wanted to take. I am a big fan, quite frankly, of encouraging them to take both, at least one time, so you can see definitely what you are probably more geared to. I think this TCA test program is going to give them the opportunity to do that without actually going and taking the test. Because the TCA test prep program, in essence, gives them an old ACT or SAT, and then it performs a diagnostic piece so they can see exactly what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Okay, but back to my original question as to whether we are guiding the students, if I heard you correctly, the guidance counselors are reviewing the students' transcripts, and they are counseling the students, so to speak, about which tests they may take, also considering the school they may be interested in attending if they plan on going to college.
Well, all of them except both tests. I mean, virtually every school. I think.
But that was my question now. My question was, are we counseling the students as to which tests they should take based on what their desires are, what their goals are?
Well, what I would say is we are counseling them, not necessarily based on what their goals are, because I think either test would be appropriate regardless of what your goals are. It's based on your transcript, how you perform, and in what environments you test best in. If that makes any sense to you.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. I mean, so.
As a former guidance counselor, maybe I can help. The SAT is a reasoning test. It is more structured for those students who can read and decipher information in large quantities. Those students who do well on ACT do well on achievement tests. The difference is reasoning versus achievement.
I understand the theory part of this reading. I guess my question though then is, how are we determining that when we are counseling them, when we're making recommendations to them? I mean, and are the parents involved, or?
Well, I'll tell you this, Ms. Danny. What will be an integral part of that process from this point forward is the TCA test prep software, because it will give us an opportunity to look at how you perform on a mock SAT or a mock ACT.
Okay,
so,
then that'll help them decide what to do.
So if you took it and you did kind of blew it out the water for ACT, then I'm gonna encourage you to look at this is probably where your strength is.
Okay. All right.
And that's why in the past, most of them were encouraged to take both, because you didn't quite know. So you said, you take this, and then decide from that which one to take over again.
I don't think it has to be encouraged them to take over though.
Well, they should.
They did.
Pre-test? You mean oh, you're talking about the
PSAT or the plan?
Yeah, no, that's not a PSAT. She's gonna go over there right now, Ms. Hartman. This is a new program that we purchased that all students have access to. That'll give you an opportunity to basically take a mock SAT, ACT, or PSAT. So she'll talk about that.
All right, everybody should have a copy of the handout, and if you notice, I put on the handout, I put a QR code for those of you who want to be interactive, and I also put the access to the actual website. And as Mr. Green stated earlier, the TCA prep test is basically an online program that's geared toward making sure that our students are prepared for whether it's the SAT, PSAT, or the ACT. And this particular software is available free to our students. It's available 24/7 on their mobile devices, if they have an iPad, tablet, any type of device. And the teachers are also embedding this. They're taking a SAT class. The teachers also using this particular software as a part of their preparation in the classroom. They're going to be seeing this TCA prep quite frequently throughout their preparation time. Now, TCA prep recommends that students have approximately 2 weeks before the test date to actually go through all of the different processes throughout the TCA test prep program. But we have even given them at least a three-month window to actually get prepared. The next SAT date is on November the 2nd. So they've had an opportunity to actually go into test prep and actually go through some of the diagnostics that Mr. Green spoke of earlier. But as I said earlier, there is a quick prep program. It's a 10-hour program. Many of our students who are taking the PSAT on tomorrow have gone through this quick prep program just to get them prepared for the PSAT, which our 8th graders are taking on tomorrow. Then, of course, there is a final prep, a review refresher, a week before the PSAT, SAT, or ACT test. Again, just to ensure that the students are in fact prepared for what the test looks like. Now, I'm going to take you all quickly through a very, very quick demo. And those of you in the audience who have a copy or have a device, you can kind of follow along as well. Now, we have put a link on Fairfield Central High School's website so that the students have an opportunity to know exactly where this is at all times. Now, if you notice here, TCA Prep gives a SAT question of the day, and it also gives an ACT question of the day. So let's see what today's question is. All right. Today's question is, salt is valued not only because of its properties as a condiment and preservative, but it is essential to the health of humans and animals. And basically, the students have to, in the following sentence, determine whether it contains a single error or no error at all. If the sentence contains an error, they have to select the part of the underlined sentence that needs to be changed. So are there any guesses on what needs to be changed? And you can ask a friend.
You always say C, right?
C?
We do those up here.
All right, so we got C. And C is correct.
Ah,
All right, now they give you an explanation of the actual answer, and if you get it incorrect, it gives you a hint to kind of guide you through selecting the correct answer. All right, so there's an SAT and there is a ACT question of the day that the students actually have access to. Let's see what the ACT is for today. Oh, that is too small for my eyes to see. So, but the following table represents, and again, this is science. This is a science question for Tuesday, October the 15th. And again, this ACT gives our kids exposure to the types of questions, so when they get the questions, they don't freak out or freeze up on the actual test. Because if they can handle it here with support from a classroom teacher with different types of test strategies, then that in fact is going to increase the likelihood that they're going to gain success on these standardized tests. Any guesses on this one? Can't see it.
Small.
All right. Well, I won't do oral admin today.
C.
You would say C? All right. Now, we're going to go to this website, and for those of you who would like to follow along, the username is mock. So if you want to follow along, you can. And the password is 4 sevens. So if you are up late one night, Ms. McDaniel, and you want to go in and see what type of questions are available, then you can in fact log in. Now, all right, now, with TCA Prep, Test Prep gives the students the option to get support in ACT, PSAT, or the SAT. And here is the study guide for ACT. If I was taking ACT, I would click there, PSAT here. I'm going to click on the study guide for SAT. Now, there are 5 steps that the TCA Prep takes all of the students through to make sure that they are in fact prepared. So the first step basically is an overview of the actual SAT test. It tells them what types of questions, how many minutes, what types of questions they will have. And basically, this is an overview, and typically this is the shortest part of the overview for students who enter the TSA Test Prep. And it tells them the structure, the timing of the test.
And also, Dr. Edwards, it gives them strategies. For example, should you guess? I mean, let's say you didn't know the answer to a particular question. You can narrow it down to 2 questions. Should you guess on SAT? Should you guess on ACT? And the answer's not always the same. You know, sometimes it's best to leave it blank if you don't know the answer, and sometimes it's best to guess, depending on which test. The ACT is not going to penalize you for an incorrect answer, whereas SAT potentially will. So it even talks about those kind of strategies that our students are not aware of as they head into the exam.
And as a part of that, the breakdown for the question type, it tells the students for writing, they would expect 1 essay. Identifying sentence error, they should expect 18 questions. Improving sentences, 25. And a total multiple choice of 49. Critical reading and math, so that up front, the students go up front what's expected of them on the SAT test. Now, this next step is step number 2. And step number 2 basically is when the kids actually take a real PSAT, SAT, or ACT test. And each year, the College Board gives the students a practice guide. So the students take the practice guide, fill it out, and then they go into TCA test prep and actually enter their responses to the question, okay? So let's say, for example, I go in and I want to score my test. So I'm taking the 2013 SAT. So I'm going to click here. And because I did this earlier, just so you'll have an option to see, I went in and actually imported or entered all of my answers for the essay all the way up to section 10. And if you notice, it has the number right, the number wrong, the number I left blank, and the number of tries. Because when you get back to step 4, you then can go back and rework the questions that you missed. As Mr. Green said earlier, the questions that you missed, they actually give you hints and tools to say, okay, if you missed this question, why don't you take a look at this particular strategy? So that the kids can then see that they are successful, or see which questions they are successful on, and in fact be able to work toward. Now when they go through all of this, this actually grades the test, so the kids get a diagnostic report that shows them which areas that they need support in. So what I did was I went to my status for SAT, and now I can actually pull a report of all of my skills that I need support on. And if you look at this summary report, now I'm pitiful because I had a math of 200, a critical reading of 200, and then writing of 250 for a total of 750 if I were actually going to take the SAT. Okay? But as of right now, these are the areas that, based upon what I did on the practice SAT, these are the key areas that I need to have support in. Critical reading, finding the main idea, recognizing the paraphrase, making inferences, text development. For math, linear equations, and plane geometry plus coordinate geometry. For writing, I need help with grammar usage and mechanics, sentence construction, organization, and development. And it even goes down to actually giving me an item analysis based upon different questions. CR1, which is definitional, CR2 is contrasting, so the kids know up front, and the teacher even knows which areas that they need to clearly focus on and that have been identified as their weak skills. So step 4 is now they're going to give me mini lessons on all of my critical skills that I just showed you in the summary report. And as I mentioned earlier, one of my critical skills was finding the main idea. So I'm going to click on the main idea, and these are the individual lessons that I now need to do, focus specifically on my weak area, finding the main idea. So these are quick lessons, quick tours, or quick quizzes, and mini lessons on finding the main idea. And then here's a question. Here is a question of this kind based on the sample reading passage. So this passage shows that the progressives were motivated by desire to. So after reading a passage, I will click here for the passage, I will select, let's say, B. Okay? Now, then it says, here's the hint. The question is asking you, in effect, to find and identify the main idea of the passage. Even though the words main idea do not appear in the question, look then for the topic sentence. So again, it's giving the student information or strategy on what they can do to find the main idea. So that's step 4. And then finally, step 5, when the student has gone through all of those different quizzes or lessons that will address their Greek skills, now they have an opportunity to go back to the test that they did in step 2. Now they can go back and rework the questions that they missed. So now they can compare what they did in step 2 to what they did in step 5.
Dr. Edwards, if I can just interject one thing. Members of the board, I have no doubt that this program can do a lot to enhance our SAT and ACT performance. The question is, how do we create incentive for our students to really take advantage of the tool? Now one thing that's probably going to be somewhat controversial is that we've told students that we are not going to give you an SAT waiver unless you spend X number of hours working on this tool. And so that's kind of the carrot and the stick. Now, students have been accustomed here to getting SAT waivers or ACT waivers, so they don't have to pay for the exam. And the exam, I think, run, I don't know, $65 or $70. I'm just running now, $65 to $70. So it is a substantial investment if you want to take it, and we want to assist you with that financial investment, but you're going to have to do something to prepare. And quite frankly, we've had too many students who've done nothing to prepare and just walked into the exam with no clue about what the exam looks like, no clue about how they should have been prepared. I mean, I had some young men who told me they went into the SAT and didn't even have a calculator. And I said, now who goes into the SAT without a calculator? More specifically, a graphing calculator. I mean, if you're going to be competitive with students all over the nation. So you may get some calls of some people saying that they won't give me a waiver, but now you know why. Because we aren't going to give you a waiver unless, and we have the ability to track based on your login how much time you have spent on the program. So if you come and say, I've spent 10 hours on it, then Ms. Swilly or the guidance staff can go and pull up your login and say, no, you've only been on there 30 minutes. And until you spend, for example, 10 hours working through the program, we aren't going to give you a waiver. So I'm very optimistic about our ability to increase those scores based on this and some other things that we're doing. And I think once we change the culture where students understand you're going to have to put in some work to prepare yourself to be successful on the SAT, ACT, or PSAT, we'll start to see greater results. We're going to be administering the PSAT to 8th graders, I think, on tomorrow, in addition to 10th grade students on tomorrow also. We have a group of 7th grade students who are trying to qualify as Duke Tip Scholars who will be taking the SAT later on this year. I think somewhere around 40 kids or so. And my daughters happen to be identified in that group. And they also are working through this program to prepare themselves to go ahead and take the SAT in a couple of months. So this is going to be very beneficial across the board for all of our students who will be taking those standardized tests. Yes, ma'am. We just bought it. Yeah, probably 3-4 weeks ago, yes.
And so far, Mr. Green touched on the fact about the number of hours we can track them. And I pulled the usage report. We have logged a total of 99 hours for preparation for the SAT, for the ACT, 133 hours, and for the PSAT, 49 hours. So the students, in fact, are in there actually going in and going through the tutorials and making use of this particular piece of software.
Question. So the students who are taking the PSAT tomorrow, even though we only have a month, they still,
yes,
some of those hours gone?
Yes.
How many PSAT hours do we have?
49.
49.
Now they can practice at home, at the
Yes.
library, wherever, as long
Anywhere
as
they
they
have an internet access.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Edwards. We'll move on to operations and finance.
In the board packet this evening, you have the second and final reading of policy purchasing DJ, and the superintendent recommends the board approve the second and final reading of the revisions to the procurement code in line with policy DJ.
questions and discussion? Mr. Cunningham?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward. The superintendent's recommendation that the board approve the second and final reading for the revision to the procurement code in line with board policy purchasing DJ. All those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. It's like 7-0.
Sorry. In your board package, you also have the September finance report for the board review.
I move we accept the recommendation.
We don't have to vote on that. Are there any questions? That's just information. Any discussion or questions, Mr. Robinson? Hearing none, we'll move on to human resources.
Madam Chair, I do have a question on that particular item, but, finance. A while back, I had asked for the information regarding the village. And I don't think it was ever provided to us.
What information remind me again?
On the,
Rather the millage was accurate? That's the question. No.
not if it was accurate, but,
Rather what we're getting from the county was accurate.
in accordance with state law,
Yeah.
and what it says that we are supposed to be receiving, and also on fee in lieu of.
Well,
My understanding, when the county council have discussion regarding fee in lieu of, they should be communicating with the school district. And if what I'm hearing is true, that with VC Summer, that's the route they're trying to take. Now, they can do it with operations, but they cannot do it with debt service. Then, we need to know what's going on. I'm gonna have to join Ray.
well, I tell you what, and me and Mr. Robinson did investigate that. I'll put something right to all of you, but to make a long story short, our calculations based on our conversations with our attorneys in the county were that we were receiving what we were rightfully due. To answer the question about fee in lieu of, Ms. McDaniel, you are correct. It is my understanding that the county has entered into an arrangement with VC Summer for the new reactors to do a fee in lieu of. And of course, that is significant for us because, as I understand it, that relieves them of the burden of having to give the school district a specified percentage, since it's not tax revenue, but instead a fee. So there is still some questions about how that works, but that's how that's the guidance I received thus far. Is that they do have that latitude since it is fee and not tax revenue.
Madam Chair, can we, I don't know if the word, correct word is encourage or authorize or request the superintendent to get a legal opinion on that? Because I'm not sure it's that cut and dry. But if we sit here and don't say anything.
That's a very good point. We will
Investigate it.
We'll contact the attorney. Definitely answer to that.
Okay, thanks.
So, in your investigations, so the companies that are currently being charged fee in lieu of, are we receiving a portion of that fee for debt service?
I'm not familiar with any other companies that we do have a fee in lieu of arrangement with, so I can't say definitively. I need to investigate that. Specifically, I investigated VC Summer and new reactors there, and it was confirmed by even one of the executives from VC Summer that it is a fee in lieu of arrangement. So I can't say whether there are any other businesses in the county. There are some. So I would need to investigate that. I'm not sure.
Any further questions? move on to human resources.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For your approval this evening, you have certified resignations.
Madam Chair, we accept the superintendent's recommendation regarding the certified resignations.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Ms. Hartman has seconded. Those in favor of accepting the superintendent's recommendation, please signify by raising of your right hand. 7-0, Ms. Dotson. Thank you.
Also this evening, for your approval are certified recommendations.
Madam Chair, we accept the superintendent's recommendation regarding the certified recommendations.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Ms. Hartman has seconded. Those in favor of the acceptance of the certified recommendation signify by raising of the right hand. 7-0. Concludes the report. We'll move on to the board chair report. We have received notice that the Mitford case that was appealed by this board to the South Carolina Supreme Court will be argued on November 7th, 2013 at 9:30 a.m. The argument is scheduled for a half an hour. Attorney Armand Durfner has briefed the board on this and has invited those that want to attend. It's open to the public. The board was informed of that date and time, again, November 7th, 2013 at 9:30 a.m. at the Supreme Court. The next item on the list is the South Carolina School Board Association holds the legislative assembly. The delegates have to be nominated and voted on by the board. Fairfield County School District has one vote, a real powerful force, but nevertheless to be represented. So we will need to nominate a delegate and designate an alternate so that we will have representation at the assembly on Saturday, December the 7th.
Madam Chair, that chair serve as the delegate. Is it going?
I am.
Okay, that chair serve as the delegate for the,
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Has made the motion.
Second that.
Mr. Miller has seconded. All those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. You can do that. 7-0, Ms. Dotson, and we'll need to designate an alternate.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
move it down, please.
All right, Mr. Cunningham has nominated Ms. McDaniel.
I second that.
You're planning to go, right? Okay, Mr. Miller has seconded that. Those in favor signify by the raising of the right hand. Thank you, 7-0 on that one. And the last item is the School Boards Association conference in February. I think those of us that will be traveling, I think it's February 22nd, 3rd, something like that. We'll need to make sure that we let Ms. Brown know in time to get the reservations taken care of that we need to.
I will be going down on the 19th, as I usually do.
But let Ms. Brown know.
she says she's not going to do it. Madam Chair, is the superintendent going to that conference?
I don't know. I haven't planned to, Ms. McDaniel, but you want me to go, I'll go.
I want you to go. It would be nice if you go to some of the conferences with us.
You're right, and you're right, and quite honestly, a couple of gentlemen who kind of mentored me throughout my career, who are currently superintendents, have encouraged me to do so. But I've been working so hard, Ms. McDaniel, I can't lift my head up, but I'm gonna try and put that on my calendar.
Great.
Yes, sir.
You can go down there, I'm still there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they know I'm here.
Well, in my experience with it, it's a good conference for administrators and really more than board members. It gives board members information, but it gives administrators power to do those things with the board encouragement rather than the board having to direct, and that's what we don't want to do that.
And it gives, I mean, I think Ms. McDaniel is making the point in that it gives superintendent the opportunity to interact with the board over the course of a couple of days and get to know me a little bit better to find out what makes me tick.
You afraid of that?
Yeah.
We'll all be tying bow ties. Don't make you take what kind of nerves.
So,
Yes.
What are the dates? Is that the annual conference?
Yeah, the annual conference.
What are the dates?
I threw out in the 20s, but I don't know for sure.
20 through 24, I think, starts on.
Yeah, it's close to about the same time as last year.
Yeah, it's toward the
It's the same weekend, I think, right there.
I don't have it in front of me.
I think most of the years change one day or something like that.
All right. Starts on the 20th, Ms. Brown, and start getting those reservations. That concludes my report.
I have another question after. This week is, South Carolina State, they have a here this weekend. Are we doing anything for them?
you mean the board? Or you mean, what do you mean? The district? Ms. Swift, are we doing anything special for the band coming in town, South Carolina State? I'm not quite sure what's planned for that.
Yes, they will be coming. We provided the transportation for them to come. So we're sending 6 buses to pick them up. They have requested to come around 6:30. So they're gonna be here about 6:30. They're gonna do halftime show. They're gonna do post game of stand favorites that they do at the games. And then we're gonna feed them after the game in the gym.
Please come join the band if you get an opportunity.
And one more question.
And that's this Friday.
This Friday?
Yeah, versus Keenan.
Oh, yeah, we need to beat them.
We are. Go ahead.
We're on the road.
And my final question, are you gonna be up there?
Yes. Yeah. I will be there. The bell's on.
I said, you coming here without crossing me.
You didn't invite me. Somebody else had that.
Well, my apologies.
Yeah.
I openly apologize.
I accept.
Before we get the motion and second to adjourn, thank you, Dr. Hardy, for hosting us. Thank you, Ms. Swilly, for hosting us last time. I don't think I acknowledged that publicly. The facilities are impeccable. We are proud to be present in these facilities and get to see what you do with them. I know it's a headache, and we appreciate the staff coming out. I know moving the actual board meeting is not the easiest thing that's done, but we do appreciate that. Look forward to a couple more at the respective schools in the future. Thank you for that. Who was that? Mr. Cunningham, did you make the motion for adjournment? Okay. All right, Ms. McDaniel, all right. Those in favor, stand up, please.
All right, Keith.
Thank y'all.
Never know. Never know. It was less good. You did such a good job explaining initially. They don't have no voice.
I was supposed to go to the Brainerd board meeting last night. They hurt me. I got home at 11. Everybody was angry. In another county, their situations are.
They struggle too. Going through some political things.
Yes. They got everything.
I just had a quick question. They were talking about some changes in temporary staffing and services with the insurance. Is there going to be any change to the way of pay? Or they change over from the district
They kind of shy away from seeing that. You know, because what happened in this area, they have had experience, like some of the towns have bad experience
I'm talking about
they
over
made
like townhouses. There are
bring his own people in by the end of Friday. He got all his people in, but it ain't no we can do like that if they make a mistake.
That's where I'm. Oh, there. Townhouses.